Have you ever wanted to own some of these VHS tapes? Well, now you can at the Back to the Past store on eBay. I'm selling a ton of tapes from my collection, some rare and some not so rare. So just click the link in the description and buy a piece of the past today. Hello everyone, and no, this is not a video about drinking Coca-Cola. This is just a tin, because today we're going to be talking about this, which is a tin full of cinema tickets. So what the deal is here... Oh, look, they're spilling out already. That's staying in. Yeah, so this is a tin full of cinema tickets. So obviously I've been to the cinema a lot throughout my childhood and my teens and my adult years. To see movies on the big screen in the Odeon and the View and lots of other magical places where you can see movies. And what I always like to do is I always like to keep hold of the tickets. So yeah, just to remind myself of movies that I've seen and give me some memories, because sometimes funny things happen when you see movies, or you might have a specific favourite movie that you've seen. So I always keep the tickets and put them away and try to hold on to them for posterity's sake. So this isn't all of my movie tickets. I have the others stuffed away in various other places, like in Polly Pockets and other tins and boxes. But these are the ones I could sort of cobble together for now that I'm going to talk about that I keep in this tin. So I'm just going to go through them and talk about some movie memories and cinema ticket memories and things like that. So yeah, let's get into it and start unpacking this tin of wonder. And stop falling out, please. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle these around and pick stuff out at random. Just pick a ticket out at random and see what comes out. Just shake it. Shake, shake, shake. And let's just pick one out here. So first up we've got Ratchet Ann. Okay, this is Ratchet and Clank, but what they do with movie tickets is they abbreviate the titles to fit them on the receipt, so it looks like it's called Ratchet Ann, but that's Ratchet and Clank, which is of course based on the video game, which is Ratchet and Clank is one of my favourite video game series, so I made a point of going to see the movie that they made in 2016, so it was April 30th, 2016 at 12:25. And yeah, this movie wasn't really that great. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of meh. I guess that's the best way of putting it. To be fair though, it was more accurate than most video game adaptations. It actually was kind of like the games, it just wasn't that amazing. So yeah, that was Ratchet and Clank. But what's on the back here? They used to put adverts on the back sometimes, so this is 25% off of Jimmy's World Kitchen, which I've never heard of before. I don't recall Jimmy's World Kitchen, maybe it doesn't exist anymore, who knows, but yeah, they give you 25% off your bill with this cinema ticket. So yeah, that was Ratchet Ann, yeah, Ratchet Ann, unbelievable. So this is Scott Pilgrim. Oh god, yeah, I remember this. This was 2010. Yeah, look at this. April 3rd, 2010. Yeah. So this was based on a book or something like that, Scott Pilgrim, and I didn't really get it because I hadn't read the book or anything. So I saw it and I was just like, what was all that about? It was just really weird and bizarre, and I think probably if people look back on this now, it'll probably look really dated. I think it was meant to be kind of hip at the time, but now people will just think that's very dated. I haven't seen it since though, so I don't know. Yeah, but I remember that being a very weird movie. I didn't really get it, so yeah, even though I was probably in the target audience age group for that, but I just thought it was really bizarre. This one looks old, doesn't it? Because it's square, it's not even a rectangle. They were still making little square ticket stubs at Odeon back then. So this is Vantage P, which I think is Vantage Point, which was like an action movie. Probably a very forgettable action movie that I don't remember anything about because I haven't seen it since then. I just remember it being a very standard action movie. I don't know what else you can say, really. I don't even know why I went to see it. But the one thing I do remember about this movie actually is that I nearly didn't get into it because at the time in 2008, this was 2008, this movie came out, so I was only 11 years old in early 2008, so obviously this was a 12 movie and you have to be over 12 to get in, but I was 11, so I used to just have to hope that they wouldn't ask, you know, they wouldn't ID me. I'd just buy the ticket and they'd let me in. But I think with this movie, they were like, the girl behind the counter kind of looked at me funny and was like, "Are you sure you're 12? And I was like, I almost cracked. I was almost like, "No, I'm 11. Please don't call the police on me." But I think I just said, "Yep, I'm 12," and they let me in. So yeah, that's the only memorable thing about seeing this movie, Vantage Point. Maybe I should watch this again just for amusement's sake to remind myself. But yeah, that was that movie. So next we have, what's this? Is this taped onto something? Looks like Odeon. Oh, this is Sonic the Hedgehog? Oh, so this is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which was in, this is a bit faded, but sometime in 2020. It was February, I think, February 7th or something like that. But yeah, I think this was the last movie I saw before all the lockdown stuff happened, so this was the last movie I saw before, yeah, all that happened. Sonic the Hedgehog. And the movie was, it was okay. It wasn't anything special. I know some people really liked it, but I was just kind of like, yeah, it was okay. So this is, oh, this one's really faded. This is Home Alone, I think. I think just barely, maybe, you can see it says Home Alone. So I think this was a Christmas, yeah, 22nd of December. So I saw this at Christmas time in 2012. Yeah, 2012, that says. But yeah, Home Alone, obviously, Christmas classics. I guess they were re-releasing it back then, so I thought, oh, I'll go along to see Home Alone on the big screen, that's nice. So yeah, that was an enjoyable one, seeing Home Alone for £1.75, so it must have been a cheap kids showing, I guess, or a special offer, something like that, for Christmas time. But yeah, Home Alone, obviously a classic, so nice that I saw that on the big screen. So this is Spider-Man 2 2D. So I think this must be Spider-Man 2, but it's 2014. So oh, it must be the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh my god, which must be the worst Spider-Man movie ever made. I came out of this just completely like, what was this movie all about? It was atrocious. The worst Spider-Man movie ever made. This has to be. Yeah, not a patch on the classics, definitely. That's all I have to say about that. So next we have The Other Guys. Wasn't this like a comedy film? This was again in 2010 or something like that. And I can't even remember who was in this. Was it Mark Wahlberg or something like that? Yeah, it was like, again, one of those comedy movies that comes out and just no one ever talks about ever again after that. But yeah, 18th of September for £5.55, all the fives. Teen, they charged me for teen back then. I was a teen, I was 14 I think by then, but yeah, absolutely forgettable. I used to just see anything more or less back then. I wasn't seeing it for any special reason, so I just see what was out at the time. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that, is that it was just a very forgettable comedy movie. Legend of the Guardians. Oh, it's abbreviated again. It's like it's Irish. Legend o' Guardians. Legend o' Guardians on the 23rd of October 2010. So this was based on the Guardians of Ga'Hoole books, which are it's an owl fantasy series about owls. So the reason I saw this is because I just think owls are cool. They're really cool owls. I've always liked owls ever since you know, that storybook, The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark. I used to listen to that when I was young, and I just thought, wow, owls are really cool. So I've always liked learning about owls, and just birds of prey in general really are really cool. So I actually have tried writing my own owl fantasy series on Royal Road. You can read that, Flight. So that's my own attempt at trying to learn about owls and write about them in a fantasy setting. But this movie was based on the Guardians of Ga'Hoole books. But this movie, when it came out, it was a bit darker than most animated movies at the time. And yeah, I don't think it really caught on with people, so, you know, and ever since then, I think animated movies have only gotten more and more, you know, just kind of bright and colourful and cheery, and you don't really see darker movies like this anymore with animation. So it's kind of a shame that you don't see stuff like that anymore. But I remember this being kind of a bit hit and miss. It was more good than bad, probably, but it was one of those movies that tried to kind of squeeze all the books into, you know, one movie. Like, we're going to take the first 3 books and squeeze it into one film, which has been done better in other movies, like, you know, a series of unfortunate events and things like that, but most of the time it doesn't go that well with book-to-movie adaptations. But, you know, adaptations of books are a funny thing, you know, sometimes the books are just always better, so yeah, that was Legend o' Guardians, the Irish version. We have next is Die Hard. Yes, Die Hard, the classic action movie Die Hard with Bruce Willis. So this was, I think this was an anniversary showing, so it was, yeah, 4th of February 2013, so it was 25 years old then. And what I remember about this is this was a very late showing. It was like 8:30 and the movie's like 2 hours long, so we didn't get out until 11 o'clock, something like that. And by the time we got out, the cinema was shut. Like, no one was working there. I didn't see anyone anyway. Everything was all dark. It was really eerie, actually, because the cinema was in the middle of one of those shopping complexes, and everything was kind of just shut down for the night, and it was like really creepy walking through to get out to that place at night. So that's where the main thing I remember about this. But yeah, Die Hard's obviously a classic action movie, so glad to be able to see that on the big screen. Anytime I can see an old movie on the big screen, I always prefer seeing older movies for some reason. I just prefer older stuff, so yeah, maybe it's no surprise. It is Back to the Past after all, isn't it? So yeah, Die Hard, classic of course. And next we have Terminator? Which Terminator was this? 2015. Oh, this must be Terminator Genesis. Yeah, this was I'd never seen a Terminator movie before when I saw this, so I thought this was just a load of nonsense, and apparently I wasn't wrong. Because my friend who took me to see it was a Terminator fan, and he hated it. But I'd never seen a Terminator movie, so I didn't understand a thing that was going on, but neither did anyone else, I guess, because this movie hasn't been fondly remembered. And yeah, this movie has been terminated. It looks like that someone tried to terminate the ticket. Back when they used to rip them, you had to show them to the person before you could go in, but now they just let you in. So yeah, that was Terminator Genesis. This is Lion King in 2D. So this was the 2011 re-release of The Lion King, because it was it 15 years old? No, it wasn't. It was like, I don't think this was an anniversary then. They just decided to re-release it because it was like 17 years old, something like that, around this time. So no real big anniversary there. They just remastered it and put it out. And yeah, as always, it's always nice to see traditionally animated movies on the big screen, which you just never ever see now, and rarely saw back then, so even this was kind of rare back then. But yeah, nice to see it on the big screen, The Lion King, even though it's not my favourite Disney movie. You know, I sort of prefer, you know, Beauty and the Beast, things like that. Even though most people would say The Lion King is their favourite Disney movie, which is fine, but it's not my favourite Disney movie. But it was nice to see it on the big screen, yeah. And again, someone had to rip this ticket before letting us in and ruin it, so yeah. Mr. Popper's Penguins. Yeah, I don't think anyone remembers this movie anymore. It was like a Jim Carrey comedy movie. Sort of a bit lighter, I think. It was aimed at kids, really. But yeah, I went to see this in 2012, was it? When it was £7.50. And yeah, I don't think anyone ever talks about this movie or even remembers it that much. It was just about Jim Carrey looking after penguins. So yeah, make of that what you will. I don't remember it being particularly amusing, so I think it's just going to be one of those forgotten Jim Carrey movies, you know, for people to unearth, you know, years from now maybe. What's this? Wreck-It Ralph? This is Wreck-It Ralph. So yeah, this was again 2012, I think, and this was that video game movie, wasn't it, where they had all the video game characters in it with all you know, the Disney stuff. And again, it's one of those movies that I bet is really dated now because it was trying to be like trendy with gaming at the time, and it's probably moved on completely since then. So people will just be like, this movie is very dated now looking back on it. But I haven't seen it since then. I just remember it being okay-ish. So yeah, that was Wreck-It Ralph. Turbo. Yeah, this was a DreamWorks movie, I think, 2013. Yeah, this was about that snail that could run very fast. I don't know what illegal substances they were taking when they came up with the idea for Turbo, but yeah, it was definitely weird seeing it at the time. It was one of those things where they're just like, why did they make this? You know, a snail that can run, 200 miles an hour or something like that, and he competes against race cars. It was just nonsensical. And it also has one of the funniest endings I can remember to a movie, where the bad guy is like this famous race car driver, and somehow he crashes his car at the end, and the snail loses his speed powers, so he has to crawl towards the finish line, and the bad guy literally picks up his car and tries to drag it across the finish line to try and beat the snail. It's just I was in stitches watching it. It was just so funny. I was in tears of laughter watching this in the cinema. But yeah, that was Turbo. So this is A Good Day to Die Hard. Yeah, so that's the last Die Hard movie. Yeah, that was in 2013, and yeah, it pretty much killed the Die Hard franchise. So yeah, that was the last Die Hard movie. It wasn't very good. It was just kind of a mess. So yeah, that ended the Die Hard franchise. I mean, normally the Die Hard movies are pretty good. I mean, I think my favourite one is the third one, Die Hard with a Vengeance, but, I didn't mind the fourth one so much, but this one was just, people weren't impressed with this one at all, and I can't disagree with them. So yeah, that was A Good Day to Die Hard, with a bad day, really, because it killed the franchise. Star Wars 3D. So this was, what was this? 2012. Oh, this must be the 3D re-release of The Phantom Menace. So this was, they put The Phantom Menace out in 3D, and which was utterly pointless because nothing about it was three-dimensional. You could take the glasses off and the movie wouldn't look any different even without the 3D glasses. So this was pretty pointless, re-releasing this in 3D. They should have just put it out normally. But this was actually the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. It was my introduction to Star Wars, Episode 1, on videotape way back when. And so yeah, I definitely take watching this over, any of the newest stuff, which is just terrible. So yeah. WALL-E, I don't think I've seen this. I think this might be my brother's ticket or something. But this was in 2008, which, oh yeah, the ultra past year of 2008. Yeah, that is a long time ago now, even though it doesn't feel like it. It's really weird. But yeah, WALL-E, I've never seen WALL-E. I've never seen it. I know that's probably like a crime against humanity or something, but I've never ever seen WALL-E. But my brother saw it apparently, so he had this ticket, so I must have held on to it for posterity reasons. And it was £6.45 back then. Yeah, so movie tickets, they go up and down all the time, don't they? Sometimes they're down, sometimes they're up, so yeah, this was an expensive one, I guess, back then, WALL-E. And finally, last one in the tin is Home on the R. Oh, this is Home on the Range. This is a really old ticket then. Look at this. When is this from? 19th of August 2004. So this is nearly 20 years old, this ticket. This is like the oldest ticket I have then. This is from, camera, stupid camera. What are you doing? So this is from the Odeon. So yeah, oh, look at this. Be sure of a seat before you leave home. So this was all the ways you could book tickets back then. So you could phone the number, go on the website, or go on Sky Active. So you could press the red button and get Odeon tickets. I remember that, yeah. I remember you could do that with the Sky remote. Sky was great back then. But this was Home on the Range, which was pretty much the movie that killed Disney's traditional animation department in 2004. This is basically the movie that made them stop making traditionally animated movies for a while and just go into, CGI features. So after this, it was stuff like Chicken Little and things like that. And the thing about this movie is that I had to see it twice in the cinema. So I had the misfortune of seeing Home on the Range twice on the big screen, because first I saw it as part of a school trip where for some reason, my school used to have an arrangement with the Odeon Cinema where we had to test out their fire alarm. So sometimes we could go to the cinema for free, but what we had to do is we had to do a fire drill for them first. So they'd ring the fire alarm and we had to go out through the emergency exit and things like that and take a register, and then we'd go back in and they show us a movie for free. So that was pretty cool. But this was one of those movies, Home on the Range, and it's such a weird film. This probably will be a VHS review someday because it was on VHS. I'd have to get the VHS from somewhere, but yeah, whenever I do Disney movies, I probably do one on this, video on this, and it'll just be, what was this film all about? Because it's got this like yodeling villain and stuff like that, and it's set in the Wild West, and there's cows, and it's just bizarre. It's very strange. But yeah, after I saw this in school, then we went out as a family to see it again, and I remember saying at the time, like, do we have to see this again? Because I've already seen it. Even as an 8-year-old, I was like, yeah, that movie was pretty weird. I'm not sure I want to see that again. But for some reason, they made me see it again, so I had to see it twice on the big screen. Maybe I'm the only person to ever see Home on the Range twice in the cinema. But yeah, because it didn't last long in cinemas either, so just, yeah, talk about a series of unfortunate events. So yeah, look out for whenever I do a VHS review on this, or any other weird Disney movie. If you have a weird Disney movie that you think is very bizarre that you'd want to see a VHS review on, do tell, yes, do let me know. And this is going to be one of them, that's for sure. Home on the R, my favourite movie. So yeah, that's everything from this tin, so that's pretty much, you know, every ticket from this particular tin. I do have other folders and boxes full of tickets all stuffed away in other places, so I should probably put them all together into one place, shouldn't I? But this is just the ones I want to talk about for now, sort of the older ones, really. You know, I do have newer ones, but, you know, I like talking about the older stuff. I prefer doing that. So yeah, that's this tin full of cinema goodness. I better put that straight. OCD, can't have that poking out. So yeah, if you have your own cinema experiences, tell me about them in the comments. And do you keep tickets? Or are you know, do you like me? Do you like keeping the tickets? And just to remind yourself of movies that you've seen in the cinema, because that's what I like to do, and I'm glad I have, because you always get good memories when you talk about tickets like this. So yeah, if you have your own experiences, let me know in the comments, and I'll probably do another one of these videos at some point. But yeah, that's it for this look through movie tickets, and I'll see you in the next video, so take care! But wait, there's more! Okay, this is a very unscripted announcement because I'm here to reveal that Back to the Past is now available on Patreon. You see, YouTube isn't exactly friendly to me for making videos about all this copyrighted content, so it makes monetizing the channel kind of impossible, but for just £2 a month, you can support the channel on Patreon. You'll get access to every new video a week early, your name at the end of every episode, and you can even take part in exclusive Patreon votes where you decide what the next VHS review will be. It's not an obligation, but if you want to support the channel, you can. I'd really appreciate it, because it means I won't ever have to talk about Raid Shadow Legends in any of these videos. Have a nice day and check out the Patreon.